the thickest accent in the history of film.
It's extremely notable. Like,
yeah,
everyone knows this accent very specifically.
And he was told, like, you will not make it in Hollywood because of this voice.
Yes, I guess that's Arnie. He is just a go-getter guy. He's just like turned a negative into a positive because everyone remembers him now.
It's like iconic at this point.
Yeah, 100%.
It's a calling card where people expect it and want it. If he had somehow at one point just gotten some really good voice lessons and he didn't have the accent anymore, people would be like, "What are you doing, man? Get the accent back."
Well, if you want to see an example of that, actually, I think the theatrical cut of Hercules in New York, the original theatrical cut, it was Arnold's first movie. They dubbed him with an American.
And he was Arnold Strong.
Arnold Strong.
Because no one will be able to pronounce Schwarzenegger. So
yeah, it's
Arnold
too long.
Strong.
It's too weird. It's foreign. And that it doesn't work. It's weird. It's weird. It's not.
It's just
good.
this debonair kind of ultra American guy with a voice coming out of Arnold Schwarzenegger. It's like what the hell?
That sounds just completely like.
To be fair, though, if you watch the filmed, I don't know what you want to call it, the filmed cut, let's say, the one they actually shot. Arnold, at that point, he can barely speak English.
Oh, yeah.
It's
You would
really
definitely,
like, whoa.
You would definitely need the subtitles on, because he is probably, although I did recently see him interviewed, on YouTube. I saw like an interview he did back in like 1985, when Commando was coming out. And one of the first things was like David Letterman. First thing he brought up was like, you got this very distinctive accent and stuff. And Arnie is just like, that's right, yes, of course, and it's a very attractive accent, and a lot of people find it very sexual, and I don't blame them for it. And it's just like everything's just like he is a charming guy. I'll give him that.
And unless I'm mistaken, his particular accent, I think in Austria is considered kind of like a hick. Like a yokel, you know, like it's a very
Schwarzenegger out there.
Yeah, it's like because he is from like the middle of nowhere, and as far as I understand it, that is indicated in the accent in Austria. It's like, oh, he's like some country bumpkin. You know?
He is I was going to say the Billy Bob Thornton of Austria, but then Billy Bob Thornton's quite well spoken. I think he just has a very kind of. I don't want to say. I feel offending Billy Bob Thornton by saying yokel kind of name. But
yeah, I'm trying to think.
It's kind of stereotypical though. Like it's a stereotypical. You know, if you heard anybody else with that name, you'd be like, oh, that's kind of like. You'd be like, wow, okay, you're writing a very kind of hit character. Like if somebody wrote that name into a story, you'd be like, okay, tone
Billy
it
Bob.
down a notch.
Yeah, what's an English equivalent? Or an Irish, well, I mean, I was going to say or an Irish one, but what's an English one? Let's think. I suppose like someone from like Cornwall, the comedian Jethro.
Yeah, that's actually pretty, exactly. I think that's pretty much.
And I suppose your accent in Ireland is considered different, isn't it?
Oh, yeah, but Ireland is one of those places, though. I think it's the same of England and America as well. So it's like such distinct accents for areas that are like, you know, completely different accents from areas that are like 2 miles apart.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's the thing with the UK, too, where I actually spent a semester in London, and one of my teachers, like, as like a party trick, can just kind of roll through all of these accents.
Whoa.
And it was just like he's like listing all of these accents for what is a relatively small area, but they're just so distinct that you're like, yeah, I hear the difference in that.
That makes sense, yeah, because I mean, we live in Liverpool. The nearest city is Manchester, complete. Like, that's not even slightly similar, really. And then in between, what have we got? We've got, like...
Warrington
and Runcorn. And neither of them sound like either.
No. I've met people, too, who say, like, oh, yeah, I'm a Scouser. It's like, you do not have anything approaching a Scouse accent.
Yeah, but then again, our friend Kit, and guest of the pod, he is from Liverpool. But as the listeners will probably know, he's got a very uniquely kind of a fancy voice.
Yeah.
And then there's me, who has just a generic neutral accent. Nobody knows where I'm from. It's a mystery.
But anyway, as I say, though,